Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Brandon here with another great business to discuss on this episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. Today's guest is one of 3 business partners selling their affiliate, display advertising, and ebook business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. So welcome to the show, and how are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. Brandon, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's really nice to have you on the call today and discuss what you and your partners have built with this business. But before we give away too much, let's go over a general overview of the business. So it is an affiliate, display advertising, and ebook business in the dating niche created in February 2017. The average monthly revenue for the business is $62,179 and makes an average of $56,823 per month in net profit. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 51831 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that I've given a general overview of the business, what's included in the sale is the domain and all site content and files, an email list with over 56,755 contacts stored in ConvertKit, social media accounts for Facebook and Twitter, and it is worth noting that interested buyers should have an approved AdSense account to aid a successful migration of the business. So, can you tell our audience a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Sure. So we're 3 brothers that run multiple websites, of which this is one of them. This has been a really dominant website. We've been doing it together in various forms since 2016. And our websites are all in the digital media space. We've really settled on this business model of combining display ads with affiliate revenue, and something that, we've tried many different things in terms of generating traffic into the domains, but Google SEO has been a really huge driver for our businesses.
Yeah, that's really awesome to hear that you were able to find this, a little golden nugget within the business world and capitalizing on that, growing these businesses. So how would you say that the business primarily makes money then? Is most of it coming through the display ads, or would you say a majority of the revenue is generated through the affiliate offers?
The majority is generated through the affiliate offers, but a very healthy proportion comes from the display ads. We switched from AdSense to AdThrive in October 2020. And since then, I'd say about sort of 25 to 30% of the revenue comes from the display ads. And that's increasing at the moment, especially as we round out from January, February, March, which historically lower RPMs. So the display ads are a really reliable source of revenue for us. We also generate significant revenue through ClickBank products. And we do that through native ads, distributed throughout the content. So a lot of the content generates revenue through both ClickBank as well as display ads. Then we've got a few other affiliate partners as well. So it's quite a balanced revenue portfolio. There's 2 main affiliate sources and a whole range of different products.
Yeah, it's really great to see that you have that diversification in your revenue sources. Now, why choose this specific business model? Was there something that you saw with that offered opportunity within this business model, or maybe even within this specific niche, within the dating niche, that you saw as a goldmine of an opportunity, and so you and your partners decided to just focus on it more primarily?
It's evolved over time from trying a whole range of different things, across various digital media assets that we run. In the case of this particular site, there was some content focused on spirituality, various kinds of focuses on personal development. So it built up a bit of traffic in those areas, but it really was the dating niche and a whole range of info keywords related to this that really took off and got a lot of traffic for, and it really built its authority as a domain quite some time ago. So when that started happening, and one of my brothers that really buckled down and focused on creating a lot of the content early on. And we ended up getting quite a few freelance writers to scale what we're doing once we saw that it was working. Yeah, it was sort of just evolved. We arrived at this through a lot of iteration. And then along the way, it sort of just fit with us in that we wanted to create something with content that didn't require our personal input, which I think is one of the real benefits of the website, in that it doesn't really have anything to do with us, who we are. It's just content that targets keywords, that generates its traffic pretty passively. And there's a lot of work that's gone into it. And, we've really increased the publishing schedule over the last 3 or 4 months in particular. So, it's quite intensive, like a lot of efforts going into it, but, it's the kind of business that you can step back from and just continues to generate its revenue.
Yeah, it's really great to hear that things have been going so well for the business. So on that note, if things are going so great for the business, why have you and your partners decided you'd like to sell the business?
It's just running a range of different digital media properties. We just see an opportunity to focus on some other businesses. And this is, we've built it up to this point. And then I think the level of scale, needed to take it to that next level is something that just us, in terms of our various priorities and the way we like to do business, it just, makes sense to take the opportunity to pass it on to someone who can really take it to this next level. So really just related to a balanced set of interests.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite common. We get a lot of sellers that come onto the marketplace and they just really don't have the time anymore to scale the business to what they ideally want to do with the business. So it's completely understandable. Now, was there anything that you learned while growing or building this business that you plan on applying to future or current projects down the road?
I think the real strength we've got here with this business is around the keyword targeting. So that's something that we've learned a lot about. And something worth mentioning is that a lot of the content published in the last 3 to 4 months is targeting the keywords even more effectively. So we're expecting a bit of an uptick in the traffic levels coming from a lot of the keyword selection that's gone into really honing down on this niche. And something that's really happened here is that there's a lot of authority that's been built up in this particular niche. So we've got a lot of confidence in whatever's being published that it ranks pretty quickly on this site. And then, over a 3 to 6 month period, it really does, grow the traffic. So yeah, definitely we've learned a whole range of skills about managing businesses and managing writers and getting these digital media assets up. So yeah, pretty excited by the skill set that we've acquired along the way and applying that to other businesses as well.
Yeah, it's really great to hear that you were able to gain some of that experience through building this business. Now, on the flip side of that, was there anything that you tried with this business and it just didn't give you the ROI that you were expecting?
There's so many different experiments that we've tried, which there's a few opportunities there, I guess, for new buyers. One of them would be Pinterest. So we've sort of jumped into Pinterest here and there, realized that it just requires a certain investment of time. But already from the few pins we created, it did generate a bit of traffic, but we just couldn't dedicate the time required to make that a really big channel of traffic. I think that Facebook's a big opportunity. So we've got a page with a decent sized following, but we haven't really put much effort into building an audience there. I think another channel that we've started to do a lot more with recently is the email list. So there's an email list of 55,000 people. And over the last few months, we've been segmenting it. And the segmentation is going really well in that, by splitting that down a bit, we're getting 20 to 30% open rates and 10 to 20% click-through rates for some of the segments. So we're sending daily emails to each of the segments and getting a lot of engagement throughout them. We just haven't really tried to commercialize the email list to the extent that it could be. So I think those are some of the experiments we've run that it's really just a function of time, I guess, of trying to put everything you can into it to really grow it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe additional A/B split testing, or maybe someone or a potential buyer with a core skill set of email campaigns and really optimizing those campaigns to their full potential is something that, maybe a potential buyer could come in and scale further should they choose to go that route. Now, where would you say that a majority of your traffic is coming from then? Is a majority of it coming through Google search, or are you also running some paid advertising somewhere, either on Google or off Google as well?
Oh, the vast majority is from Google search. We're not running any paid advertising at all. I'm just pulling up I can give the specific breakdown in the last 30 days of how much comes from search. And it is a definitely a dominant channel, 89% coming from search. So I think it's some big opportunities to focus on a few other channels and to leverage what's happening in search.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really great to see that you have that amount of organic search traffic coming into the business outside of paid advertising. Now, are you doing any type of marketing or any type of advertising with the social media accounts, or are those used kind of as like a back burner thought process within the business model itself?
Yeah, we just like post new articles to social media, but there's really nothing much happening at all.
Okay.
So there's no other channels. It's SEO is the primary focus of this, and we get a bit of direct traffic. So 5% just comes from the email list, which is sharing out the new articles and some old articles.
So you'd say that's most likely the extent of your marketing then is through the email list, organic search traffic through building up quality content with keywords, right?
Entirely. That is it.
Gotcha. Now, hypothetically speaking, if you and your partners were to keep this business, what are some of the ways that you would try and grow it?
It's not even hypothetical in that it's not a guaranteed thing that the business sells. So we're pretty excited by the keyword targeting that we've got going on. We have scaled the content production over the last 3 months, so we are going to continue doing that. And we're seeing really positive results from what we're publishing. Also, the email list. In fact, we've started segmenting. We're putting a lot of time into upskilling in email marketing. So we think there's a lot more that we can do with that list. I think there's a big opportunity with some of the affiliate products being promoted to run retargeting campaigns using paid ads and building various funnels, going into the website. So the website's got a lot of authority, and we know with Facebook ads that it's pretty important to send people to sites that have a lot of content related to whatever you're promoting. So it's not just a single landing page onto an affiliate offer. So we see a lot of opportunities just to utilize the authority that's been built. So it's really a combination of just continuing to scale, increasing production, and then getting right into email marketing and paid ads.
Okay. I noticed earlier you were saying that you've upscaled your content production team. Could you go into a little bit more details and how you're producing the content, where you're outsourcing content to, and then kind of what is currently set up for a potential buyer to continue this process?
So we've got our own team of freelance writers, and we've just got an operation going where we've got the keyword research happening. We've got a system whereby we delegate articles to freelance writers, but that we're keeping with us after the sale. So in terms of, what's available, I think we've said, we're available for buyers' calls and to run through the various strategies we've been using, how we're selecting keywords and things like that. We're very happy to give a full overview and to position the buyer as well as we can so they can, take this over and sort of continue running it as they see fit. Very aware they're going to have their own strategies in place. So it's sort of difficult to know exactly the best way we can add value to that process, but we're really available and really keen to see this, go into good hands and, someone to really turn it into what we know it can become.
That's really great to hear, and dive in a little bit deeper into some of the support you're going to offer a potential buyer. But one last thing I wanted to ask you before we get to that was, do you feel that there's any particular skill set that a buyer should have prior to acquiring this business? Or do you feel that a majority of the workload and maybe even the operations for the daily tasks or weekly, monthly tasks can be learned within the transition period?
I suppose it really depends on the buyer. So I'd imagine on the one hand, if the buyer's really experienced and they just know this space even better than us, they're going to take a pretty quick look at it and just see what to do. So I'd hesitate to give too much advice, but if it was someone that's a little more fresh and just wanting to get in and rather than take the years required to build something like this up and just want to come straight into that revenue base and use the revenue to grow, I think the main skill set would just be organizational skills, keyword research, delegating briefs to writers, probably putting together some writing guidelines. I mean, we're very happy to hand over the writing guidelines that we've shared with our writers. That wouldn't be a problem at all. But yeah, if it was just to maintain it in its current form, I think it'd just be the organization skills of piecing all that together.
So having basically like a content production or maybe even a marketing side, maybe a little bit of experience in that aspect on the back end, but you guys are providing templates. So if they needed to outsource a lot of the content production to freelancers themselves, they have that option. So that's always really great to see as well too. Now, I noticed like looking through your listing, so I've noticed that some of the traffic has starting to dip down just a little bit, as we were discussing this offline for a little bit before. And I'm just curious what your take is on that. Maybe even go through some of the potential risks associated with this business that a buyer should be aware of.
Yeah, so we noticed since early December, we had a bit of a drop resulting from an algorithm update. And there's been a sort of held steady for a couple of months. Then there's a slight drop since early February through to today, and it's sort of stabilizing around the current level. I mean, what we've noticed is that from a lot of analysis, it doesn't look domain specific to us. It looks like there's a whole set of keywords that have actually increased in traffic, and then a whole other set of keywords that have dropped in traffic. And there's a big group of keywords around some content that's just not as valuable to us. So we were ranking really highly for some questions related keywords. So it's basically got the word questions in the actual keyword. And a lot of that content was getting quite big traffic and dropped. And we weren't promoting affiliate offers in that content. So it hasn't impacted the bottom line. The revenue is just holding steady at the moment, which is quite pleasing because the traffic has dropped a little bit, and yet the RPMs across the board have increased going through from January through to today. So it's holding steady. What we've done over the last 3 months is to really go in and analyze the keywords that have dropped, the keywords that have risen. We've addressed what's dropped with updating content and increased production of new articles. So we're expecting it to turn around and continue the increase the way it always was in the past. So I think the main point there is it's a range of different keywords. The ones that have dropped, apart from being groups of keywords related to like questions keywords, we also noticed that we were targeting really high volume keywords that just end up getting more competition over time. But the whole set of other keywords that we target just consistently, new articles rank quickly, get traffic. So definitely not worried about the health of the domain. So now it seems to be, it's sort of arriving at the right level it should be based on the amount of articles that have been published and the amount of competition out there. So it's looking pretty healthy in terms of just focusing on continuing the current strategy and scaling from there.
Okay. Now, would you say that's most likely the biggest risk associated with this business is being at the mercy of the Google algorithm updates and maybe just kind of always in the guessing game with them as far as those new updates and when they're released?
I think that would be the significant risk. I can't think of any other major risks. So I think in this sort of business, I'd imagine a lot of the other sites on Empire Flippers, if you're getting a lot of your traffic from one channel, you're always at the mercy of those algorithms. So the fact that it has had this recent drop and it's managed to stabilize, I think is a pretty good sign. It shows there's a lot of stability here. So it's definitely was a little concerning for us initially, but the stabilization shows that the risk isn't so severe that I think it's going to, drop in a massive way.
Okay, so just a few more questions. Would you and your partners be willing to commit to a non-compete, meaning for the next 2 years, you'll stay out of this specific niche?
Yeah, it's definitely something we're looking forward to discussing with a potential buyer once we get through to the negotiation stage. We've got a range of different projects that we're all working on, but it is definitely something that we look forward to discussing.
Okay, that's good to hear. And then how much support are you willing to offer potential buyers? Are you going with the typical 30 days of email and Skype support, or did you have something in addition that you would like to add on to that?
Once we get to the stage of getting on a call with a potential buyer, happy to have a chat and just see whatever the buyer needs and how best to add value. So definitely the standard support available, but pretty flexible and just want to see the whole thing work.
Yeah, that's really great to hear that you're willing to help a buyer and make sure that this business goes on and continues to succeed with them as well. I'm sure really great for any potential buyers that are listening. Now, are you open to negotiating something like an earnout where you'll receive a large portion of the sales price up front and then smaller payments closing out the deal over the course of a few months after that?
Yeah, open to that.
Okay, perfect. And then just a few more sideline questions for you. So was there any software or tools that really helped you at the start of running this business?
We've used Ahrefs, keyword targeting, but I think that definitely what we've done isn't specific to Ahrefs. You could use really any of the tools. So it's just the standard stuff like Google Analytics is pretty important, the Search Console, Ahrefs, but nothing specific in terms of software.
Okay. The tried and true software as a service is, Ahrefs, a lot of the SEO tools that we constantly talk about, I'm sure. So yeah, it's really great. Now, what advice would you give to our listeners that you wish you knew when you first started this business?
It sort of takes a long time. So it's just thinking for the long term, but then looking back, it's surprising, how much has actually happened in that time period. So yeah, just for us, it's focusing on the same thing every day over and over has been just a huge part of what's happened.
Yeah, no, it's really great advice, staying focused on the project at hand, and eventually it'll get to where you want it to be. So that's really great advice. Now, final question for you. So putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think that your business is worth buying?
I think it's the authority that's got this particular niche and just the opportunity to scale the content. I mean, we're seeing what we're publishing in the last 3 to 4 months is ranking quickly. Still takes time to build up its traffic. Usually, within 6 to 12 months, it gets to a pretty high level. So huge opportunity to consolidate what's happening and scale from current base.
Yeah, definitely. It's something I also noticed going through your listing, and I'm sure potential buyers that are listening to this call, they can also see the value in what you and your partners have built and the foundation that you've created for them to ultimately scale to even newer heights. So yeah, it's really great to see this kind of business come on our marketplace. And that pretty much wraps up the call. Was there anything else that you'd like to share that I might have missed?
Yeah, I guess just to follow on from that, so scaling the current distribution strategy, SEO, but just bringing in various other marketing channels for someone with that expertise. I mean, there's so much, I think, untapped potential here. And for us, it's just a function of time. It's difficult to do everything at once. So I think this is a business that, can really be scaled in many different ways.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely a lot of potential and a lot of great foundational work that you and your partners have created. And again, I'm sure our potential listeners and buyers out there that are looking at this listing can also see the value in what you've created. And that pretty much wraps up this call. Really appreciate you jumping on and talking to us, giving us a little bit of a background in your story and how you and your partners have built up this business. And yeah, looking forward to getting this listing sold for you here in the near future.
Yeah. Thanks for your time, Brandon. I've appreciated the conversation.
Yep, same here. And all right, everyone. So thanks for listening. To learn more and to see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 51831. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.